This week, CNA presents the Year Ahead 2025. And tonight, we turn our focus on the nation's families and its aging population. Now, this April, policy changes on parental leave take effect to help working parents ease their pressure on childcare. New fathers who are working can take up to 4 weeks of paternity leave and an extra 6 weeks of leave shared with their working wives. Ahead of that, Singapore's business associations are calling for easier work pass approvals and financial subsidies when hiring temporary workers to stand in for staff on parental leave.
Workload. Who would pick up the slack and how colleagues would perceive his absence? These were some concerns this young parent had when he found out his wife was expecting. Thankfully, his fears were unfounded.
Having very open conversations with the company and my co-workers helped. So with the company, playing my part to give them a heads up once I knew that my wife was expecting and that I'll be foreseeing myself going on these paternity leaves, helps the company to plan ahead. With my colleagues, it also helps me to find out who in the team can help to support me in my absence, and at the same time, if there were other colleagues who are going on theirs, to help them do the same as well.
His employer's wealth advisory firm Provident offers a wide suite of benefits to its staff, ranging from flexible start times to bringing your kids to work or even on work trips overseas. Around 2 in 5 of its 50-strong workforce are young parents with children under 12.
Being small allows us to do that, and we want to continue to do that for our family of colleagues, not just to support them. I think from a business standpoint, it's just a wise thing to do. I mean, in this world whereby competition for talent is so intense, I think being a very caring employer, I think just helps to attract top talents.
Beyond just making sure business operations continue to run smoothly in anyone's absence, the firm says it is also conscious that any parental leave schemes should not hamper employees' career progression. However, other small and medium companies may not have the means to be so generous. Ahead of enhanced government-mandated parental leave slated for this year, business associations are calling for additional support. This from financial subsidies to help with overheads when hiring temporary replacements to flexibility in work pass approvals. The Association of Small and Medium Enterprises says what could be useful for smaller firms would be a prepayment of parental leave claims.
If you are finding a temporary replacement manpower, there will be a handover period of anything between 2 weeks to 4 weeks, depending on the job role, right? In these kind of situations, you are double paying, right, for existing employees as well as the incoming temporary replacement. So that is a cash flow challenge or a stress on the business. And in this kind of situation, if the claim can be paid upfront, then that would empower the company to make better decisions, give them more options because there is a resource.
The Centre for Fathering says employers' support goes beyond just leave schemes.
It's not just during parental leave, but even after they return, they really need the support and understanding as they adjust. Because the real difficulty is a transition phase, especially mothers return to workplaces, or even fathers, because they do have to make certain changes at home in order to be there at work.
He suggests that employers continue to encourage open communication and find ways to actively involve families.
And helping to give parents the peace of mind to leave their children in someone else's hands, nannies will have to go through at least 2 rounds of background checks and training on first aid and food safety before they're allowed to look after babies for their clients. The Early Childhood Development Agency rolled out the 3-year childminding pilot in December to serve new parents. Nadine Yam with more.
Taking care of a newborn can be daunting for new parents. Leaving your baby with a complete stranger isn't even scarier prospect. But for these working parents, they are willing to put their trust in a nanny.
I think I'm more open to trying new things as a parent because with our current work situation, we need some help and flexibility.
They found the solution in EduNanny, one of 3 childminding operators selected by the Early Childhood Development Agency to be part of a pilot. Parents busy with work crave the service flexibility. Depending on their work commitments, parents can choose the days and time they require a nanny. They will also receive daily reports on how their child is doing.
What parents can expect is a very tailored form of infant care that the childminders can communicate with parents either through WhatsApp, providing timely updates of their infants. And the whole point about EduNanny and why we are doing the childminding pilot program is to actually help the parents to ensure that the parents can focus at work and knowing that their kids and infants are being well taken care of.
Safety standards are priorities in ECDA's pilot. Nannies have to go through at least 2 rounds of stringent background checks, first by their own operators and then by ECDA. That's followed by in-house infant care training and at least 2 external courses on infant first aid and food safety. These nannies can be deployed only after completing these.
So getting the clearance, getting them trained before we can place them with parents take about minimum 6 to 2 months.
This program is not really just you come and take care and go back home, not like that. But you need to really take care properly because they also have like it's not like a manual, but you need to follow the instruction, what you need to do, by schedule.
All these to make sure the child grows up in the best environment and in the safest pair of hands.
And for more on how effective these measures will be in supporting parents and raising Singapore's total fertility rate, I'm now joined by Dr. Kalpana Vignehsa, Senior Research Fellow at the NUS Institute of Policy Studies. Dr. Kalpana, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
More generous parental leave, as we saw, we're seeing more efforts ramped up for childminding services with trained nannies. Tell us, would all of this be sufficient to entice young parents and parents-to-be in 2025?
Well, okay. So more parental leave, I think that's a big one. Mm-hmm. So long as the parents can feel confident about taking that parental leave and that not facing career penalties as a result. Mm-hmm. I think that's a big one. And it's big because, particularly like with paternity leave, there's research that shows that, fathers that bond with their children, they experience that bond for, the long haul, and it also improves their marital relationships. So I think it's a big one. And the childminding services, frankly, they made me very happy because I think that what we really need is a diversity of options, right? So, in Singapore, we have the ability to have a helper. And if you can foster a great relationship with your helper, it benefits everyone. But that doesn't suit everybody. And neither does, full-time infant care suit everybody. So having another option of trained nannies with a childminding option, I think that could provide very needed respite for some families, and that's great.
On top of these changes, this year we are expecting baby bonuses, more support for families with more than 2 children. We often hear high costs as the reason for couples not to have children. Is this sentiment true? And if so, is there anything that society can do to help?
Okay, look, so high cost of living pressures, right? They are definitely a barrier. And also the trade-offs that people have to take on to deal with those cost of living pressures, they're also a barrier. So there's definitely having those baby bonuses, they do help to defray the costs of having a child. And a lot of the families that I speak to, they actually see the baby bonus as a means to defray pregnancy and childbirth costs. That's kind of like how a lot of people conceptualize the baby bonus, right? And whilst it's very important, the thing is that the choice to have a child is a very, very personal one. There's so many interconnected personal reasons. And these things don't necessarily kind of entice people to have children. But whether it's the baby bonus or the childminding policies or the parental leave policies, what they do is that they make the experience just more manageable for people. And that is very important when considering whether you're going to have another child, right? Because you always base it on how manageable was that experience. Can I take this on a second time? And so I think that all of these things are really great, but I do think that we also really must tackle some of the systemic issues. So in terms of what I talked about, not facing a career penalty earlier, right? So that's something that like we need to tackle the ability for people to step off the treadmill and focus on young children for a while and then come back and not have it kind of be this where they feel like, their careers are sacrificed.
So you're saying take a short break for a while.
I'm saying make it normal to take a break and come back, and not, to try and normalize that people are not going to be penalized in the workplace for taking that time to focus on young families. Yeah.
Okay. If I may put you in a position here, if you had to say what bold measures do you think we can introduce this year or in the medium term to help boost Singapore's total fertility rate, or even, plug any gap in our family policies?
Okay, well, so I personally don't think this is that bold, but others might think that it's fairly bold. And I have written about this before. So I think right now we are, the current situation is that, women have 16 weeks of maternity leave. Fathers are going to have their 4 weeks of paternity leave. And then we're scaling up to the 10 additional weeks of shared parental leave. I really think that, if I had a wand, I would, I think we need to implement some kind of use it or lose it system where there may be an additional bonus of 5 weeks shared parental leave if the fathers take their 4 weeks of paternity leave and take at least 5 of the 10 shared weeks. The reason I am saying this is because you can keep giving out more parental leave, but our take-up rates of paternity leave are very middling, right?
Yes, I agree. Yes.
So
how do we encourage that?
How do we encourage that? We have to make it really like normal and easy for fathers to take that leave, to focus on the, caring of their children. And, if we take the experience of the Nordic countries that equalized parental leave, we know that the exposure that fathers gain from actually playing the role of primary caregiver, it has long-haul benefits for them, their relationship with their children, their relationship with their spouses, that protective of family bonds that comes from actually spending that time. And I would love for us to also have that in Singapore. Yeah.
That's a very interesting proposal. Use it or lose it system. Dr. Kalpana, thank you very much. And as you said in your earlier commentary, we need to make parenthood seem less like the ultimate sacrifice. Thank you very much. That was Dr. Kalpana Vignehsa, Senior Research Fellow at the NUS Institute of Policy Studies.